Hello YouTube, Crazy Robot Lady here, and today we are performing another Tiger 2XL tape. Today we are shifting back into the adventure story vein, away from the trivia vein, as in Ripley's Believe It or Not. And we are going to hang out with the amazing wall-crawling Spider-Man. Now, I just wanted to point something out. It may not be important to everybody, but I find it curious. Most of the comic book characters in this series, in the Tiger 2XL series, have 2 tapes. But Spider-Man only has 1. Superman has 2. Batman has 2. The X-Men have 2. Spider-Man only has 1. Crypt Keeper only has 1. Are You Afraid of the Dark only has 1. Jurassic Park has 1. And Star Trek The Next Generation, which is the one that we will be doing next, only has 1. And the Power Rangers only have 1. I find it weird that some of them were, some of them have more than 1 adventure. I don't know. I don't understand why Spider-Man didn't get another one. Anyway, whatever. Just me puzzling aloud. Anyway, so let's get to it.
Hello, thank you for beginning this program. It stars everybody's favorite crime fighter, the spectacular Spider-Man. Before we get into today's exciting adventure, I need to remind you how my programming works. Please pay attention, because if you do not follow instructions carefully, it could wind up confusing my story circuits. Always follow instructions. Only push those buttons you are given as choices, and only press a button after I say the word now. Now that we have that out of the way, we can begin today's exciting adventure called For King and Country. I take you now to the busy streets of New York City, right outside the Simcarian Embassy.
Peter Parker, dressed in a rented tuxedo, walks up the street until he arrives at the Simcarian Embassy. Peter is a young man with dark brown hair. He is a professional news photographer on his way to take pictures at an official presentation from the King of Simcaria to the United States. There are velvet ropes holding back the crowd as Peter approaches the door. He is trying to push his way through the crowd when he feels a hand on his arm.
Hey, where you going, handsome?
Peter turns to see Felicia Hardy, the beautiful platinum blonde-haired woman that he knows secretly to be the adventurous Black Cat.
I'm here to cover the presentation for the Daily Bugle. What are you doing here, Felicia?
I was hoping to catch a glimpse of the world-famous Simcarian royal jewels, and you are just the person who can get me in to do it, Parker.
Well, you're not thinking of going back to your old ways, are you?
As the Black Cat, Felicia Hardy had been a cat burglar. The time she spent as Spider-Man's friend and partner reformed her. Now she is more likely to help Spider-Man recover stolen jewels than to think of ways to steal them herself.
Of course not. So what do you say, sugar? I seem to have been left off the guest list. You gonna help me crash this shindig or what?
What do you think, friend? Should Peter invite Felicia to go into the embassy with him? Press 3 if you'd like him to invite Felicia along. Press 4 if you do not want him to do so. Press 3 or 4 now.
Why not? 3.
Well, my wife couldn't be here today because she's working. Why don't you come along with me, Felicia?
Peter and Felicia make their way through the crowd and walk up the red carpet to the main entrance. They are stopped by a man in a Simcarian army uniform. Peter presents his invitation, and he and Felicia are admitted into the embassy. After passing through security, they are permitted to enter the huge reception hall.
Wow, look at this place. It's like some kind of movie.
Peter agrees. The room is beautifully furnished and filled with some of the most important people in the United States. There are politicians, movie stars, and celebrities of all sorts. At one end of the room is a podium where uniformed guards are stationed. One of them catches Felicia's eye.
Who's the woman with the silver hair and the body armor?
Peter looks in the direction Felicia is pointing and recognizes the woman standing near the podium.
Well, that's Silver Sable. She's a high-profile mercenary from Simcaria. King Stefan probably hired her to keep an eye on things.
The lights in the ballroom dim, and a spotlight hits the podium. The red curtains behind the dais part, and King Stefan steps through them. He is wearing the ceremonial crown and carrying the scepter of the royal family of Simcaria. As he approaches the microphone, there's the sound of a muffled explosion, and smoke clouds the room. Felicia grabs Peter's arm and whispers into his ear as the guests begin to panic.
Looks like we're in for some excitement. You think we should go change?
Felicia Hardy is one of the few people in the world who knows that Peter Parker and Spider-Man are one and the same person.
I'm not sure. We might be able to learn more if we stay here.
What do you think? Press 1 if you'd like Peter and Felicia to change into costume. Press 2 if you'd like them to stay in the reception hall to keep an eye on things. Select 1 or 2 now.
Let's stay 2.
Peter raises his camera to his eye and begins taking photos, choking back the smoke.
I think we should stay here and see what we can learn.
As the crowd panics, the smoke begins to clear, revealing that King Stefan has vanished. Peter Parker discovers a burnt orange piece of plastic by the speaker's dais and immediately recognizes it as the remnant of one of the Hobgoblin's jack-o'-lantern bombs. Silver Sable addresses the panic-stricken crowd.
People, please, people, do not panic. We have everything under control. People, please, leave the reception hall in a calm and orderly fashion.
The uniformed guards begin to direct the crowd out of the room. As soon as they are in the hallway, Peter nods to Felicia, and they head in the opposite direction of the other guests.
We'd better go change. There's trouble.
What kind of trouble?
I think that the Hobgoblin snatched the king.
In the confusion, it is easy for Peter and Felicia to slip away from the crowd and leave the embassy through a back door that leads into a deserted alley. There is the roar of a speeding car, and a long black limo speeds past Peter and Felicia. Peter's spider sense, which always warns him of danger, buzzes as the limo passes them.
I think the king's in that car.
We better follow it.
They are about to change into their costumes when they hear a woman scream.
We've got to help that woman.
What about the limo?
Peter recalls the day he let a thief run past him without helping the police stop him. Later, that thief killed Peter's Uncle Ben. He never again would turn his back on a person in need.
That woman's in danger now.
So's the king. You go help her and I'll follow the limo.
So, friend, where would you like to go? Press 1 if you'd like to stick with Peter Parker and help the woman in distress. Or press 2 if you'd like to go chase the limousine with Felicia Hardy. Press 1 or 2 now.
I want to follow the limousine, but I'll go with Peter.
Peter reaches into the pocket of his tux jacket and gives Felicia a pair of spider tracers. These small electronic devices emit a signal that only Spider-Man can hear. The tiny devices in hand, Felicia rushes off in pursuit of the limo. Meanwhile, Peter ducks into a dark corner of the alley to shed his tuxedo and reveal the familiar red and blue costume of Spider-Man. After pulling his mask over his head, Spider-Man fires a line from the web shooters on his wrist and swings into action. He follows the sound of the woman's screams. The closer he gets, the more his spider sense buzzes, and he knows that he is in for trouble. He swings over a dark alley, and the woman's screams grow louder.
Leave me alone. I swear I won't tell anyone what I saw.
Didn't anyone tell you that it isn't nice to swear? I guess I'll have to punish you for that.
Spider-Man arrives to see a woman being threatened by one of his most dangerous enemies, the Hobgoblin. The horrific mask that hides his face leers at the cowering woman.
A little early for trick-or-treat, isn't it, Hobby?
Spider-Man! What a nasty little bug. Guess I'll have to squash you, won't I?
The Hobgoblin reaches into the leather pouch in his side as Spider-Man tenses for action.
Uh-oh. So, who is going to attack first? Press 3 for the Hobgoblin. Or press 4 for Spider-Man. Press 3 or 4 now.
Get him, Spidey!
Spider-Man fires a web line at the Hobgoblin's hand, entangling it in a gooey mess before the villain can throw any of his explosive pumpkins. Spider-Man fires another line over the Hobgoblin's head and swings toward him. The Hobgoblin maneuvers out of Spider-Man's path. It wasn't the Hobgoblin that Spider-Man was after, but the woman. He snatches her up and swings to the roof of a nearby building. The Hobgoblin quickly catches up, his hand finally free. He is very angry and prepared to attack.
Who is the target of Hobgoblin's attack? Press 1 if it is Spider-Man. Press 2 if it is the woman Spider-Man saved. Please press 1 or 2 now.
Sorry, lady. 2.
Although it is tempting to the Hobgoblin to destroy his hated enemy here and now, he has been paid to do a specific job.
Sorry, Spider-Man. I'd love to stay and dance, but you're not part of my contract.
The Hobgoblin reaches into his pouch and throws several bombs that create a smoke screen. Under cover of the dense smoke, he rushes forward on his glider. He speeds past Spider-Man and grabs the woman, flying away with her. Spider-Man fires a web line and swings after the Hobgoblin and the woman. There is a high-speed chase over the streets of Manhattan as Spider-Man tries to rescue the woman. The Hobgoblin leads Spider-Man far away from his rendezvous point with his cohorts. He heads for Central Park. He drops the woman in the middle of a duck pond. Spider-Man is almost within arm's reach of rescuing the woman when the Hobgoblin flies by and fires a shower of sparks at the woman from the fingertips of his gloves. The woman screams and collapses as Spider-Man reaches her. He looks up to see the Hobgoblin making his escape.
What do you want Spider-Man to do, friend? Press 3 if you want him to make sure the woman is all right. Or press 4 if you want him to follow the Hobgoblin. Please press 3 or 4 now.
Make sure the lady's all right. 3.
Spider-Man refuses to leave the woman until he is sure that she is alive, so he throws one of his tracers onto the Hobgoblin's back as the villain flies away. Once the Hobgoblin is gone, Spider-Man turns his attention to the woman lying at his feet. He kneels beside her and checks for a pulse. It is weak, but there is one.
Are you all right, ma'am?
I think so. What happened?
The Hobgoblin was trying to kill you. Do you know why?
I saw him and some other costume goons pushing a man with a crown into a limousine and driving away. I yelled at them and he came after me.
The woman begins to tremble, and Spider-Man holds her gently, afraid that she may be dying. Luckily, he can hear sirens approaching. The police arrive, and they transport the woman to a nearby hospital, saving her life. Meanwhile, Spider-Man begins his search of the city, hoping to find the Hobgoblin. He swings over the rooftops of Manhattan. At one point, he was sure he saw Silver Sable, but she was gone too quickly to be sure. Finally, he feels his spider sense picking up on one of his tracers. He follows it to find not the Hobgoblin, but the Black Cat, who is also swinging over the streets of the city. He catches up with her.
Did you find anything?
Nothing. I lost track of the limo for a minute and couldn't find it again. I think they may have pulled a switch. What about you?
The woman we heard screaming was being attacked by the Hobgoblin. She witnessed the abduction.
Does that mean he's mixed up in it?
It sounds that way. The woman said she saw other costumed villains there too. So Hobby isn't alone in this.
They resume their search for any clue that will lead them to King Stefan and the Hobgoblin. Spider-Man's spider sense picks up another signal. It's faint at first, but they follow it to a most unexpected place.
Where has Spider-Man's spider sense led him? 1, to an abandoned warehouse. 2, a fancy hotel. 3, an old gun factory. Or 4, the Delvadian Embassy. Press 1, 2, 3, or 4 now.
4. I've never heard of the Delvanian Embassy.
The Delvadian Embassy is only a few blocks from the Simcarian Embassy. The hours they spent searching the city have led them back to almost exactly where they started. They land on the roof of the building, and the buzzing in Spider-Man's head grows more intense.
Do you think Delvadia might be involved in the kidnapping?
That doesn't make much sense to me. I can't see why they'd want to cause an international incident.
Maybe someone is trying to kidnap their diplomatic representative.
That could be. Whatever it is, we'd better check it out.
They sneak into the building through the skylight, both suspicious that their presence hasn't caused security alarms to go off. Spider-Man's spider sense leads them to a room on the 4th floor. They go into the room to find it empty. The spider tracer is lying abandoned on the floor.
We've been set up!
Before they can move, they are attacked.
Who or what attacks them, my friend? Press 1 for an unexpected villain. Press 2 for the hobgoblin. Or press 3 for a whole bunch of spiders. Please press 1, 2, or 3 now.
3! It's close to Halloween. Let's get creepy crawly.
The floor underneath the Black Cat and Spider-Man drops out from under them. The Black Cat fires the grappling hook and line from her wrist launcher, while Spider-Man fires a web line. Both lower themselves safely to the bottom of a deep shaft. It is lit by a single bulb high above their heads.
What do you think this is all about?
Somebody was expecting us. Keep your eyes open. My spider sense is really buzzing. Somebody doesn't want us to get out of here alive.
Then let's blow this pop stand.
They look up to see the floor grind back into place overhead.
Oh no.
They are at the bottom of a sealed pit, and no exit can be seen. Neither of them notice the soft sound of the arrival of the first of the creatures sent to eliminate them.
Well, we can try going back up and forcing the trap door open.
What the?
What's wrong?
It wasn't until one of the tarantulas fell on the Black Cat's head that she realized that there were several more crawling around on the floor. Startled by the spider's sudden appearance, the Black Cat tries to catch her breath while pointing at the floor. It is crawling with the hairy arachnids.
Don't worry. Their bites aren't poisonous.
That would be true if they were real tarantulas, Spider-Man. But these tiny robots were created by me. They have lethal poison in their fangs.
Spider-Man recognizes the electronically enhanced voice of one of his oldest enemies coming from a speaker mounted on the wall.
Mysterio.
That's right, Spider-Man. I have been given the opportunity to help build a criminal empire that will flex its muscles from New York City's own famous empire. Not only that, but I'll be able to claim that it was I who finally destroyed Spider-Man and the Black Cat. Enjoy your last few minutes on Earth.
The mechanical tarantulas crawl over the feet of Spider-Man and the Black Cat. The Black Cat fires her grappling hook, but there is nothing for it to latch onto. Spider-Man lifts her and crawls straight up the wall. The spiders follow close behind. Spider-Man reaches the top and punches a hole through the floor. The two heroes climb back into the room where they started. The Black Cat spots a fire extinguisher and destroys the tarantula robots with a chemical shower. Then the Black Cat and Spider-Man puzzle over Mysterio's comments.
What do you make of his reference to New York City's own famous empire?
Well, my guess is that he was referring to either the Empire Gym or the Empire State Building.
Where do you think they should look for King Stefan? Press 1 for the Empire Gym. Or press 2 for the Empire State Building. Press 1 or 2 now.
1. Empire Gym.
Well, where do you think we should go?
I can't imagine that they could have gotten the king into the Empire State Building without somebody noticing. I say we check out the Empire Gym.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
The sun has set as Spider-Man and the Black Cat make their way to the Midtown site of the Empire Gym. As they land on the building's roof, Spider-Man can feel his spider sense buzzing.
We'd better be careful. Something's wrong here.
You think we should change into street clothes and go in undercover?
If King Stefan is here, there may not be time to be changing back and forth. I say we go in ready for action.
But if the people who've got the king see us in costume, they might panic and try to kill him.
Let's check things out from here before going in.
Spider-Man crawls down the wall to look into one of the windows of the health club. He sees rows of workout equipment, but nobody's using it. He crawls along the wall to another window. to find a second empty room. Every window he peers through reveals the same thing. The gym is empty. With this knowledge, the two heroes are sure that something is wrong, and they sneak into the building. On the second floor, they enter an office and find a man tied to a chair. Spider-Man recognizes him from the Simkarian embassy.
King Stefan, are you all right?
When the king doesn't respond, Spider-Man realizes that he must be drugged. He starts to untie him. Meanwhile, the Black Cat watches, ready to spring into action at the sign of any danger. And that danger suddenly presents itself as the door at the opposite end of the room opens and 5 of Spider-Man's deadliest foes enter. The Hobgoblin, the Shocker, the Vulture, Mysterio, and the Rhino. Their leader is the last to enter, and he is the first to address the heroes.
You will move away from King Stefan immediately. If you do not, I shall exterminate him here and now.
Dr. Octopus!
Dr. Octopus stands at the far end of the room holding a large gun trained on the King of Simcaria. His 4 mechanical arms are poised to attack, and he holds a huge pulse rifle in his real hands. Spider-Man, needing to bide time to think of a plan and not wanting Stefan hurt, backs away from the king.
I shall not allow you or the Black Cat to ruin my plans, Spider-Man. I have much to gain from a war between Simcaria and the United States. Not only will I earn a fortune from ransoming the king and the royal jewels, but I have a cache of weaponry I can sell to Simcaria. I shall not permit you to interfere in my profitable scheme.
Dr. Octopus looks toward the assembled villains.
Gentlemen, you have your assignments. Destroy Spider-Man and the Black Cat.
Who is the first to attack our heroes? Press B for the Winged Vulture, or press C for the Shocker. Press B or C now.
See. Shocker. And he's bad.
It is the Shocker who strikes first. Aiming his fists at the heroes, he releases a force blast from the vibro shock units mounted on his wrists. The blast causes the room to shake, and Spider-Man and the Black Cat jump for cover. The Shocker releases another force blast that knocks Spider-Man from the ceiling. Spider-Man drops to the floor, stunned by the blast. The Shocker moves to the hero's side, aiming both his wrist units at the fallen web-slinger. The Black Cat is about to rush to her friend's aid when she is attacked from behind.
Who attacked the Black Cat? Press 1 for the Rhino. 2 for Mysterio. Press 1 or 2 now.
1.
The Black Cat is about to fire her grappling hook at the man threatening Spider-Man when she is hit from behind. She is thrown against the wall. When she looks up, she sees who attacked her, the Rhino. The Rhino is a man who wears a suit that augments his strength and gives him the appearance of a humanoid rhinoceros. The Black Cat knows his strength is far greater than her own. The Rhino lowers his head, planning to charge the Black Cat and gore her with the horns on the head of his suit. He doesn't notice that Spider-Man has broken free of his attacker. As the Rhino charges, Spider-Man fires a web line in his path. The Rhino trips and falls over the line, landing with a resounding thud. The Hobgoblin, annoyed at the incompetence of his partners, flies into action.
The Hobgoblin is already mad about what happened earlier. Who is the target of his attack? 3 the Black Cat, or 4 Spider-Man. Press 3 or 4 now.
Spider-Man. 4.
This has gone on long enough, Spider-Man. It will give me great pleasure to exterminate you once and for all.
The Hobgoblin releases a barrage of concussion grenades over Spider-Man's head. Spider-Man twists, turns, and jumps, trying to avoid being hit. An explosion knocks him to the floor, semi-conscious. By the time the Black Cat springs into action, it's already too late to stop the Hobgoblin's attack. Seeing her good friend hurt, the Black Cat loses her temper.
You're gonna be sorry for that, Hobgoblin. Spidey might pull back from hurting you, but I have nothing against it.
The Black Cat leaps at the Hobgoblin. The sharp claws of her gloves poised to attack. She never makes it. The brown and yellow costume Shocker fires his high-pressured air blasts at the hero. The Black Cat collapses in a heap on the floor next to the Spider-Man.
Oh no! Now that our heroes are incapacitated, who is going to try to deliver the killing blow? 1, the Hobgoblin, or 2, Dr. Octopus. Press 1 or 2
no.
now.
The Hobgoblin. He doesn't have an actual
The
gun. Maybe he'll
Hobgoblin
just
lands his
throw
glider on the floor in front of the heroes and
bombs or
dismounts.
something.
The smile on his face exaggerated to horrific proportions by his fright mask. He gloats over Spider-Man's unconscious body.
You have no idea how long I've waited for this moment.
Dr. Octopus, carried by his 4 mechanical tentacles, crosses the room. He leans his huge cannon-like gun against the wall.
Stand aside, Hobgoblin. If anyone is going to destroy Spider-Man, it will be me.
He's mine, Octopus.
You work for me. You put the cat to sleep. I will take care of Spider-Man.
2 of Dr. Octopus's tentacles lower him to the floor, while the other 2 snake their way towards Spider-Man. The Hobgoblin, infuriated by the way he's been treated, reaches into his leather satchel. He pulls out a concussion grenade and throws it at his boss. Its explosion sends Dr. Octopus reeling. With a clear opportunity to destroy Spider-Man, the Hobgoblin wraps his fingers around the hero's throat, fully intending to throttle him.
This doesn't look good. Who saves Spider-Man's life? Press A for Dr. Octopus, or B for the Black Cat. Press A or B now.
A. Is he really gonna do
The
it?
Black Cat opens her eyes to see the Hobgoblin strangling Spider-Man. Unfortunately, she is still too weak to save him herself.
I knew one day that it would be me that would finally put an end to Spider-Man.
A rush of adrenaline makes the Hobgoblin feel positively invulnerable. A sense of power intoxicates him. And he doesn't notice Dr. Octopus getting up from the floor where he'd been knocked down. The Shocker, the Vulture, the Rhino, and Mysterio can see the rage on their employer's face and know that there is going to be trouble. None of them dares get in the middle of it.
Hobgoblin, you have seriously misjudged me, you overconfident fool. Spider-Man is a mere annoyance compared to me when I'm mad, and you have made me very irate.
2 of Dr. Octopus's arms remove Spider-Man from the Hobgoblin's grip as the other pair snakes around his employee.
While Dr. Octopus and the Hobgoblin are fighting each other, who is it that rushes in to finish the job they started? Press B for the Shocker and the Vulture. Press C for the Rhino and Mysterio. Press B or C now.
Oh no. See?
Regaining their senses, the Black Cat and Spider-Man realize that the best time to save King Stefan will be while Dr. Octopus and the Hobgoblin fight with each other. Spider-Man sprints across the room to the chair where the king is bound. However, he is met halfway by the charging Rhino, who knocks the hero to the floor. The Black Cat is about to intervene when she is enveloped in a cloud of smoke fired at her from a nozzle embedded in one of Mysterio's green gloves. The smoke makes her dizzy, and she finds herself surrounded by a circle of Mysterios.
Surrender! You cannot defeat us! We are your masters! You will give up! Surrender! Surrender! Surrender!
The Black Cat fights off the effects of the hallucinogenic drug, realizing that the multiple Mysterios are an illusion. Closing her eyes, she concentrates on the source of the voices. Following the sounds, she is able to land a debilitating kick to the real Mysterio. Meanwhile, the Rhino is trying to crush Spider-Man under his massive weight. Spider-Man applies all his strength to lifting the Rhino. The Rhino is thrown across the room, landing with a loud crash against the wall. The impact knocks the villain out. As the chaos grows around him, Dr. Octopus pummels the Hobgoblin with a barrage of blows from his mechanical arms. When the Hobgoblin has collapsed in a heap on the floor, Doc Ock cuts the ropes that bind King Stefan. He grabs the king and makes his getaway.
What do you want Spider-Man and the Black Cat to do, friend? Press 1 if you want them to deal with the remaining villains. Or press 2 if you want them to follow Dr. Octopus. Press 1 or 2 now.
1. I know we're letting him go.
It is a simple matter for Spider-Man and the Black Cat to defeat the remaining villains. But when they try to pick up Dr. Octopus's trail, they find that he is gone.
Uh-oh. It looks like you should have gone after Doc Ock in the first place. Luckily, Silver Sable was on the case, and she was able to save King Stefan. However, this is not how the story has to end. If you would like Spider-Man and the Black Cat to rescue the king, all you have to do is...
Okay, dang it. Let's cheat.
Defeat the remaining villains. And they follow Dr. Octopus.
Hold up. Sorry. 2.
The Black Cat and the Spider-Man realize that rescuing King Stefan has to be their top priority, and they follow Dr. Octopus. Doc Ock crashes through a window, and holding King Stefan in his real arms, uses his cybernetic tentacles to scale the outside of the building. For Spider-Man, with his ability to cling to walls like the irradiated spider that bit him and gave him his superpowers, it is easy to follow the villain to the roof. The Black Cat isn't far behind, using her grappling hook and cable like a mountain climber to scale the outer wall of the Empire Gym. Soon, all 4 are at the top of the building.
Octopus, give up now. You know you can't escape us.
Au contraire, Spider-Man. I shall escape unharmed with the royal jewels, and it is you who shall help me.
What makes you think we'd help you?
Using one of his tentacles, Dr. Octopus dangles King Stefan over the edge of the building.
Because if you do not, I shall drop good King Stefan. I'm sure you don't want to see him splattered on the sidewalk below.
Dr. Octopus makes his demands known. If he is to release King Stefan, he must be allowed to escape with the king and the royal jewels. Spider-Man and the Black Cat must not try to stop him, or the king will be assassinated. However, if he is allowed to leave unhindered, he will release the king when he feels he's safe.
How do we know you'll live up to your word and release King Stefan and not just try to ransom him back to us?
You'll just have to trust me.
Do you want our heroes to accept their terms? Select B for yes or C for no. Press B or C now.
The last time I did this, I said no, and he was, the Dr. Octopus dropped King Stefan. Let's see what he does this time. And he gets rescued by, Silver Sable. Let's see what he does this time.
Not wanting to see King Stefan hurt, the Black Cat and Spider-Man each take a step back to indicate to Dr. Octopus that they are not planning to attack him.
A wise decision. I shall be taking my leave now. If you try to follow, you will witness the fall of King Stefan.
You are going nowhere, Octopus!
The Hobgoblin suddenly appears over the edge of the building on his glider behind Dr. Octopus. Startled, Dr. Octopus drops the king. Spider-Man quickly fires a web line that stops Stefan from falling to the street below as the Hobgoblin speeds toward Dr. Octopus. He picks his employer up and flies off with him, dropping toward the street and out of eye's view of Spider-Man and the Black Cat. There is the sound of an explosion. When Stefan is safely on the roof, Spider-Man rushes to find out what happened. He and the Black Cat peer over the edge of the building to find that both the Hobgoblin and Dr. Octopus have vanished. They go back into the gym to discover the other villains have left as well.
Wow.
Ooh, that's not very good. You did a great job saving the king's life, but the bad guys got away with the royal jewels. I think you should rewind this tape and find a different ending to this story. If you play again, press different buttons and the story will change and unfold differently. Okay, thanks for playing. I really appreciate it. And please push my stop button now.
Wow. Well, dang it. I still messed it up. That's the cool thing about 2XL. It was, the choose your own adventures were done really well. And if you don't make just the right choices, bad stuff can still happen. And the only way you can truly fix it is either to cheat, the way I did, or to completely rewind the tape. And having to completely rewind the tape is a pain in the butt, because you have to go through the whole adventure again. But I guess it's the same way, like if you're playing a video game or something, if you don't beat the level, you have to go back and do it again. I think these tapes are awesome because there is a sequence to it. You can't just wing your way through. Anyway, guys, I hope all of you enjoyed this video. As usual, like, subscribe, comment, click the notification bell so you will know whenever I upload new content. God bless, and I will see you in the next video.